sure that it was using the actual live setup
Okay.
I had in
Let's
there.
keep an eye. Let's see if it actually
Freaking you.
works this goddamn time. And there's that. Shows offline. Let me just wait a second. Hopefully it'll start fucking
Yep,
working.
yep.
Oh god.
There we go.
Alright, so it looks like it's working this time. Ha! You piss off, devil device of YouTube. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Citrus Questions, the discussion show that I occasionally do when I find people willing enough to participate in it. The topic today is, again, I'm not really sure. I tried to stream this once before, and it didn't work. So now we're back, and hopefully it's going to work throughout the stream this time. We
Hit
have
the gas pedal. Sorry.
We have with us Moka, who's in traffic, from the
Hi.
Butcher or the Butcher Gaming.
Yes, the butcher. I butcher every single thing you love. Any movie you enjoy, any game you may like, I will break it down and most likely crash a game.
And of course, the host of By the Hearth. I do co-host work for her when I have the capacity to do so. We have Chambers of My Heart.
Hello.
Could you guys describe what the topic is here today? Because, like I said, I did not do this. I don't know.
I can if you want, Mocha. I can also put the link to the Twitter status in the chat as well to give people better context too.
Of course, Rooney Tooney.
Okay, so there's a video going on, or rather, there's a question posed on Twitter the other day, and it involves what I would nickname a beauty kid. I'll put the link to the Twitter status in the chat. So pretty much, the question was posed: if you caught your son putting, oh, I can't link it. I'm not a mod.
Oh,
For
hang on. I gotta fix that. Buttons work. Okay, there you go. Now you're a moderator.
let me try this again.
That
Okay,
was my
so I completed.
bad.
Okay, so with looking at the Twitter status, I just linked in the live chat. Question got posed: what would you do if you caught your son doing this? My initial response, I retweeted it, is like, "Whose ass am I kicking?" And this started a conversation between me and Mocha that generated into a stream invite. So we're going to be talking about the Twitter video I just linked, and we're going to be discussing some topics related to that in regards to children discovering their sexuality and the stuff that surrounds that. So,
Yeah, I thought it would be a better idea to actually do a stream, just for the simple fact of words can be miscommunicated. Like with the original tweet, I thought she was about just to go beat some motherfucker's ass. You know what I'm saying? Go old school motherfucking Crip blood shit. Pop pop shit. So I was like, whoa. That's why my initial that's why I like to like talking, because like I said, with just text, shrewd, it can be, all that good fucking shit.
Yeah, that and we tend to
And
have
I
the
don't
whole.
talk as eloquently. If you read the tweets, I don't talk as eloquently as I do in typing.
yeah, I tend to word myself a bit better with typing as well.
That and Twitter
I
has
cuss too
character
much is my
limits,
issue.
which kind of does make argumentation on Twitter a really difficult task because,
Exactly. And
character limits and, of course, not understanding context or being able to have verbal or vocal cues.
Oh, I
yes, and we were going to do this earlier, and I do humbly apologize to Ichabod and Chambers. I just got out of doing physical therapy, so it went longer than I thought. I was in there since like noon, and I got out at 4. So, because she likes to torture me. But the entire thing today is I actually have no issues as long as it's in with a safe and healthy environment. People, like kids experimenting with their, what they like to do, their, how they like to dress, their sexuality, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, as long as it's within a healthy environment and nothing is, being pushed upon them. I don't know if I was construing that very well, because if I may go, if, I have y'all's permission, if I may go into a little bit of backstory with me, real quick.
Oh, that's fine.
My background is I was raised Catholic in the South.
Oof.
I know that's weird. They're normally only Baptist. But I have some Catholics running around every once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
I, as, literally from my first memory, knew I had interest, and this was before puberty. Now, I put myself, maybe I'm just a rare case, that I knew my sexuality. I knew I liked boys and girls. I didn't fully understand it because, I haven't went through puberty. And, of course, that stuff changes.
Right.
However, it didn't for me. I still enjoy the feminine body. I still enjoy the male body. Penis is amazing. Pussy is awesome. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, and I was raised in an environment of where that is wrong. That is a sin against God, and, you will be condemned to an everlasting inferno.
Right.
So, I guess my view on that is I believe children should be able to, express that. Like if they want to put on makeup, I see there's no issue with that. If a kid wants a little boy wants to dress in female clothing, I see no issue. If a little girl wants to be like I was, a tomboy, and wear boy clothes, well, stereotypical, as the environment would see today as boy clothes, they could do that. And that was a good point of what this entire video was just this little boy, which his wings were on point, by the way.
Mm.
He needs to work on his shading of the eyeshadow. Shouldn't go that far up. But, I think there was absolutely nothing wrong with that, and I would like to see where Chambers, thinks about that issue. And if you wouldn't mind going into your backstory, if you have any, about your expression. Like
No, that's perfectly fine. There's two things I actually want to focus on the stream is that video and give my thoughts about it or whatnot. I also, if you are interested, Mocha, if we want to go into a little bit about children discovering their sexuality, and it's a tricky topic because I've already tried to discuss this once on my channel and I literally got labeled a pedo for it. Like, I'm not kidding. People
Yeah,
like
no, she
spazzed
did.
out on me. Suit yourself. Fucking hell. Anyway, so those are the two things I want to focus on in this stream. Going back to the video. Now, generally speaking, because I've been watching with what's going on in the media in regards to, first off, people brainwashing their kids, telling them that they're trans. You have 3 to 4 year olds who don't even know what sexuality is, let alone their own body parts are for. So when I see a little boy, specifically a little boy, putting on makeup full blown these days, I get really, really leery because it's like, is this innocent play or is this part of some sort of nefarious agenda that their parents are trying to push on the child? As I've seen this with many other parents, I'm actually helping to deal with a custody case that this is the case. Hashtag save James. Still going, by the way. So back then, because back then it probably would have been considered as normal play, children playing dress up, exploring. And I have nothing against guys being makeup artists. That is, as I told you, Mocha, in that thread, or I believe I told someone in that thread, that putting on makeup, knowing how to do it professionally, is a type of art form. It really is. You got to know color theory, how the colors work, how to work with facial structure, what colors work with what type of skin color, bone structure, or excuse me, cheek arch, and all that wonderful stuff. So back then, had I seen something like that back then and all this stuff not kind of like swirling around and people literally, because there is, and people call me a nut, but there is a war on our men, even particularly our little boys, trying to emasculate them and feminize them. So when I see things like this nowadays, I get skeptical. I get a little bit, well, more than a little bit, but I get more worried, because you are seeing the drag culture also lure in more little boys. Recently, there was a drag queen that just got outed out as a pedophile, and I do know that this boy's makeup, like drag queen makeup, can vary depending on the queen.
Yes, it really can. I
Yeah,
watched RuPaul's Drag Race. I'm a fan of because RuPaul is fabulous.
you know,
Fabulous queen.
I don't watch any of that stuff. I just, um, but I'm not saying this particular little boy putting on the makeup is a drag kid in himself. I do, from what I got told, he is a little beauty guru on YouTube, where he has his own Instagram and his account is run by his parents. Now, my question is, go ahead.
Because he's too young.
Yeah. Oh no, definitely. My question is there's a difference between kids like experimenting and picking up certain things from what they see with their parents on TV than being outright taught how to do it. So I know the discussion between you and between me and you, Mocha, the other day on Twitter was, how did the boy learn it? Why was the subject brought up? Was it something the kid saw as a way to express himself, or was he taught it for a twisted reason? You know what I'm saying? Because that's
I
almost
could see
professional
that,
level.
but at the same time, he only does because I actually I researched a little bit before we actually did this yesterday. Me and my buddy Nix actually watched it, and I still love Nick's reply. He's like, "That little motherfucker can do wings better than me." So that's the reason I brought up the wings, is because I'm still laughing about that. See, it doesn't seem like he is being sexualized in any way. Makeup tutorials, he like. I do believe on his channel he does have actually a video of saying how he got into it, and I do believe he said he saw his mother doing it, and he said he wanted to see if he could do it. From what I could see from what he said, while he was still needs to learn how to fade his eyeshadow.
Right. So at that book, as I said that there's a difference between the child learning it from its mother. Like I can see, because like you had asked me, what if the child, like hypothetical, if I had a son, if my son had started doing it and he said that he learned it from me, then I replied that we would have a discussion about beauty and art, because putting on makeup professionally is a type of art. So that, if he did learn it from his mom, like seeing if he could do it too, and if it's a career he wants to pursue, I personally don't have an issue with it. Again, it's that in itself can be lumped in with all this other stuff, and it's hard to decipher these days, or kind of pick out what is actually an innocent career path as being a makeup artist, or is it something like a kid being brainwashed to be drag, or being told that he's a girl, or that he's transgender so he needs to go and start doing this. Is it just a phase? So there's so many things that tie into it. It's just like it's hard to pick out which is which these days, because this trans stuff, and again, I don't have anything against trans people. I don't believe in the recommended outcome, but at the same time, live your life, you free will and all that. But because it's being pushed in our kids so much and they don't understand it, when you have 3 to 4 year olds coming out, oh well, I'm trans, oh well, I think I'm a girl, that is the parents. And so this is what scares me. What is innocent play, and what is actually an agenda being pushed onto our kids?
And if I may interject here real quick, it
Go ahead.
also could be, let's just say a kid just has a YouTube channel, parents don't know about it, and he thinks he's trans. I actually, when I was younger, was told that, like, one of my best buddies, he is amazing, he is a wonderful gay individual. However, he thought when he was growing up that he had to be a girl because he was attracted to men. And because he was raised Catholic as well, that's where I met him, in Catholic school. He thought forever, just because of the way that some religions actually teach you, that you cannot be this way, and, they'll, because it's not right. It's not, seen as being correct. So I can understand if some kid, let's say he's growing up in a household to where his parents are thinking that, put it into his head that, girls like boys. boys like girls. You see what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
it could actually put that into their head as well, which could cause, first off, causes depression. Second, it causes, confusion beyond belief. So I think some of them is a most, I hate to say most likely, but some of them that could be, a factor. Because I've actually witnessed that with multiple people that was in the Catholic community, in the Baptist community. You know what I mean? It's pushed upon you. That is the way it is. Maybe not
yeah.
verbatim, but yeah.
Yeah, no, because I do come from a Christian background, and I do, again, I am for traditional marriage, but again, free will, you have the right to choose how you want to live, and you have the right to choose what is best for you, what you deem as right. I always try to
That's
emphasize
a whole
that.
other discussion right there. We could argue for years on that one.
Oh yeah,
But
I know, but I'm just kind of putting it out there. It's like this is what I believe, but at the same time, I'm not
I
gonna rattle
believe if
your
you love
cage about it.
somebody and you want to marry them, boom, marry them. That's all I see. As long as
Right.
they're of age, of legal sound mind and body, do it.
Yeah, but I'm just letting you know where I came from, that my background a little bit. And so yeah, that was taught and I have a better understanding and things like that. Again, that's a whole nother can of worms. So no, I can see that definitely being a factor, not really understand what's going on and then being told at a young age, no, this is how it is, bringing in more confusion when they don't understand their feelings to begin with. So I can see that kind of creeping in and making the child even more frustrated. So I definitely agree with you. That could definitely be another factor there. Um, but as I said, it's just I don't know. There's such an agenda to make our men and boys less masculine, and you have the word thrown around toxic masculinity, and it's a whole bigger picture, and it's hard to pick out what pieces are actually part of that picture and ones that are just standalone, that hey, this is a child possibly pursuing a career later.
Uh, and if I may actually pop into something else, I think maybe maybe because I'm from the South, I have to preference that again. Dudes in the South are not taught to. They're actually taught to be over masculine. Don't cry. You only get angry. Like if you're going, like it's just like with the women as well. We are also taught. You don't want to show your emotions. The emotions are for when you're alone. So maybe in the North, maybe they're all like, oh yeah, put on use moisturize and stuff. In the South, you would never really ever see a dude moisturize. He could come in, his beard's scraggly, he's covered in fucking dirt and dog shit. And Ichabod, I am correct in this.
Yeah, no, you're right.
I actually
I've done that before.
Yeah.
Lord. I had someone bring that up the other day, and I told them what it sounds like you don't really understand, because to me it sounds like that there's more to it. Now, I'm not going to say specifically where I grew up, but it's definitely not in the South. But in regards
Oh,
to
so you're a
not,
Yankee.
huh?
I said, oh, so you're a Yankee.
Yeah, she's a
Sorry.
Yank.
Go ahead.
But in regards to not showing your emotion, because there's a balance to being overly emotional versus not showing any emotion at all. Because it was described that you guys show passion. Like, well, that's still an emotion. Some places are more rougher to where it's like, well, no, you don't. You're not overly emotional. Here's emotions you do show, but you don't like make a mess of yourself in public. Which I can understand the reason behind that, because some people are just woof, no, keep it in a jar, or really. So, but I mean, back then, I can see actual toxic masculinity being a thing with the way that were women were treated with back then, but I don't think that particular term is such a phrasing so much anymore. Now, I could see that with the radical MGTOWs or the incels or the damn monks of the MGTOW branch. Now, that is what you would call toxic masculinity, uh of what some of these MGTOWs believe. And if you I don't know if you ever watched Turd Flinging Monkey, if you ever go into his comment section, oh my gosh, you have men in there talking about beating the crap out of women for just making a sandwich wrong. And these aren't posts. They're not trolling. They're legit serious. So that is actual toxic masculinity. What Islam pushes is toxic masculinity, like big time, if we want to go that route. But generally speaking, in the West, it's not so much a thing anymore, and you have feminists going well out of their way to try to pull the power, quote unquote, for men. It's like, well, it's our turn. You guys have had it long enough, and you guys screwed things up. No, just shut up, sit down, leave the boys alone. Let the natural process take its course. You know what I mean?
Well, like I said, maybe it's just where I was raised. I was raised in the deep south. So like, I remember my one of my cousins. He broke his arm, and his dad told him, "Suck it up, Buttercup. We're gonna go to the hospital. Quit crying." That's the kind of the way that I was brought up. Most of everyone I went to school with, that's how they were brought up. Maybe it's, like I said, maybe it's just the South, but there is, a standard of, well, even with the females, there is a thought of, like I said, you don't cry in front of your husband. You don't cry in front of your kids. You don't cry in front of people. You say that for when you're alone. You have to be able to go out there. If your arm gets wrapped up with barbed wire, you got to be able to, like I said, suck it up, Buttercup, and yank your arm out, and then go take care of it later. Because if you, like, getting hurt, and because I was in farming, if you got hurt, that's just part of, break your leg, you're still in the fields, like, pulling weeds and, getting everything growing, because if you stop, you don't have an income. So I think masculinity is still very well taught. So apparently, guys, if you want your son to grow up a man's man, go to the South, deep South.
I will say with Fanat, two things I want to touch upon. First, touching upon if a child breaks their leg, the suck it up Buttercup. I mean, to me, that's just, and I do get there are, because I had a discussion with, if you know who Panoid is, Tom Panoid.
No.
He talked about how boys shouldn't cry, period, or whatnot. So I could kind of see it both ways. And usually when a child gets hurt, you don't want to freak out. You do want to talk to them in a calm tone and go, hey, it's okay, and try to calm them down as much as possible. So I can see not encouraging to get like all hysterical or whatnot. So in that sense, I could see it. But then the other way, I could also see it's like, well, they just kind of like, snap something in the inside, and you might want to back off just a bit. And as for not crying in front of your husband, that to me is actually bullshit, because like with part of marriage or whatnot, being able to be that vulnerable with your spouse, I mean, that gets you closer, and you see them when they're weak, so you know when to step in. I mean, I've had, and I'm not making fun of them, me and my husband have broke down in front of each other, and we've been able to get to know each other more, because we kind of know, oh hey, they're having a rough time, oh hey, what can I do to help or whatnot, and the stress just gets to you. So I can see it swing both ways. With don't cry stuff. It just depends on like how far it's taken, if you get what I mean.
Well, it's supposed to be within, like I said, it's still taught. I was taught it. My little sister was taught it. All my cousins were taught it. It's literally is just a Southern thing. It's because you don't want to seem weak, because weakness leads to it's just a ass kick abad. It's just a mentality that we still have, and I do agree. I don't agree with it. However, it does come in handy sometimes, because you don't just want to like break down in front of somebody over like menial shit, like, oh, fucking you burnt the steak and shit like that. I agree with that, but I still do it to this day. Like I said, it was like ingrained in me as a child I don't cry in front of people. Like, Frozen Binary, me and her hang out quite a bit, actually. And she's seen it firsthand. I literally got, when I was hurt more than, like, oh my God, fucking I had to get a bolt put into my ankle. And I was still walking on it, so I wouldn't show that, I'm a weak pussy little bitch. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and to that I would say just that mentality of always being strong. it just I get you want to be your best and you want to like do the most that you can, but just like I'm going to give the analogy of a sword here with the blade. Eventually, that blade is going to crack under the pressure if it's not taken care of properly and allowed to rest at times, and it's just going. It's going to break. The cracks are going to get worse. So, with that mentality of always being strong, in a way I can appreciate the many concepts of it, but at the same time it's not realistic because that's how people snap.
No, that's
You
how
know
we
what I
drink.
mean?
That's how we drink.
Yeah.
But yeah, back on to the topic, because I could go, talk about this forever. It's like but I want to actually bring up one of my other cousins. He is actually 3 now, and he enjoys, he has a twin sister,
Hmm.
and he loves to put on makeup. I swear to God, they are the polar opposites of each other. She likes to wear overalls, get dirty, fucking go collect the chicken's eggs, wrestle with the piglets. She loves to do shit like that. He likes to stay inside, likes to stay clean, likes to put on makeup, likes his hair long. My other cousin wants her hair always short. I understand that she's outside a lot, sweaty. And, so I also am coming from an aspect of that because he just started doing it on his own. I know, like, his dad heckles the shit out of him being 3, calling, saying that, yo, you're just a little girl. Oh, you're going to grow up and be a little Nancy already. So that's kind of the aspect. And his mother is more of a, oh, just let him do what he wants. It'll go away. Or if it doesn't go away, that's just our son.
Yeah.
Kind of, aspect. So
Yeah.
that's another, like, point I'm trying to come from is, like, it, it doesn't just, it can just occur. It doesn't have to have, like, an influence. And, I hate to say it, like, Twitter amplifies, like, a lot of this shit. Like, I swear to God, nobody would know about those drag kids if it wasn't for fucking Twitter. It's cancerous. It really is. And the drag kids, I'm actually in, like, hey, if a little boy wants to dress up in girls' clothing, as long as he's in a healthy environment, do whatever the fuck you want. As long as they ain't sexualized, do what the fuck you want. That's the kind of emphasis I always go on, because that it's actually healthy for, not just children, but teens, young adults, older adults, to try to, experiment with, different things and express themselves in different aspects.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I said I know for me, like I obviously don't have kids. I personally am not interested in having them, considering what is going on these days. And there's some other factors personally that go into that. So it's just like, no, I'd rather not reproduce. Uh, but like if I did have a child, I would put in like healthy boundaries. There would be stuff that we would talk about. And if they saw something like I brought up in one of my videos, it had to do with the episode of Arthur and Mr. Ratburn marrying his same-sex partner of how many years.
Oh yeah, they've been together since the beginning of the show. Yeah.
Oh, see, I didn't know that, but there's
Yeah, they were just friends. They were people living together. They were always together, so it wasn't just, out of the blue.
Yeah, no, I like when I got older, I had a sneaking suspicion Ratburn was gay, but it was never confirmed. But anyway, my point of bringing that video up was that I had mentioned in the video if my child had saw something like that in like their show or whatnot, I wouldn't be quick to flip the channel. I would possibly rewind or rewatch the episode with them to see what exactly, how they were presenting it, why they were even showing that to begin with. And then we would have a discussion about it. So, I mean, allowing children to explore within a healthy set of boundaries, a healthy realm, and to ask questions is important. And I feel like a lot of parents don't do that. And that when it comes to like their sexuality or whatnot, there's a big belief that children don't know what their sexuality is in their teens. I know for me, what I believe, it's not confirmed until puberty hits. I mean, yeah, children sexually develop, they ask questions, which again, when you get to your computer, like when you get home, I really want to show you the article that I got the amount of shit for.
Yes, sorry.
Oh,
I'm behind a car wreck right now. I'm literally moving one. Actually, I can check 2 miles an hour. I'm currently moving 2 miles an hour. I will be there sometime.
oh no, you're fine. I just because you sound like you're very educated with this sort of thing, so I want you to take a look at it because like when I got
Mhm.
blasted, oh, you're pushing pedo shit. I showed it to every parent I knew. Ichabod, Maddie, some of the parents I know on Facebook that are also on YouTube. It's just like, please help me. Did I get something wrong here? But anyway, so there's that discussion, and a lot of people don't want to discuss these things in regards to child development. And it's just like, even as young, and I'm not saying, let me, and Ichabod, if I start to phrase this poorly, please correct me because
Oh,
you're
I
very good
will.
at doing that.
That's what I'm here for.
He does it on my own stream. So, even in an infant age, I'm not saying the curriculum is encouraging to do anything bad with the child. It just even at a infant age that children develop sexually. They start to develop sexually. They start masturbating at the age of 2. They don't understand it. They don't know what it means. They just know that it feels good. And again, a lot of these people do not talk about that. It's considered of a pedophilic nature to even discuss those things. It's almost like it's taboo. And it's so irritating.
Well, I see maybe like I've read multiple studies on it, but they don't really have any proof. Really,
Right.
like I will like research their where they got their hypothesis from, and
Right.
research the links from it, and normally it's just personal opinion that's hitting. Like that's what a good section of because I can't remember who it was because I had this conversation with somebody else about 2 years ago, and I'm like, I don't think it. I think it may maybe when they're like 5 or 6, maybe, but I don't know if infants are doing it.
Well, if you look
Yeah,
at go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, because like I said, I've extensively looked into it, and everything is just like personal opinion shit. And I don't go with personal opinions. I think personal opinions are, what lead to arguments and what leads to, things being misconstrued, because I can have a personal opinion that spaghetti is disgusting.
Hey now.
And I know,
Lord.
it's a sin. That's a sin.
That is a
I know.
sin.
It's it's just, an example. I love spaghetti, but I'm just saying. Or someone say, oh, but I love spaghetti. And then that just turns into a huge argument. That's how a war starts, World War III, over spaghetti. You see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I think if they try to say like near the 5, 6 range, I would say maybe. But yeah, I don't think anyone should make any determinations until they've hit puberty. That's
Right.
when they're in their teens. Well, it's actually 12 to 13 to 14. Some people at 17 when they finally hit puberty.
So, as a
Those fuckers need to be
momentary
checked on because that's where those
divergence.
are all the psychopaths in the world.
Right.
So, as a momentary divergence, we have our first question from the chat, and it is from Doc Griffin, and he asks, "What age is acceptable for a child to declare their sexuality?"
Well, see, that's the thing. And I actually wanted to bring that up in regards to a counterpart to what Moka said. Because as I said, and I brought this up in my video to suit, there's legit studies or observations of children who start masturbating at the age of 2. And I've heard stories of children knowing that they're gay by the age of 3. So, uh, because there's like blogs and blogs of questions that children ask, behaviors that they start doing, what is considered normal sexual habits or normal behaviors for 2-year-olds, and then what's considered not normal. So, in my opinion, I have no idea. I don't know if it's when they start sexually developing, when they start those type of habits at a very young age, because again they do around age 2 to 3, sometimes over the age of 1. I had a nephew and people like freaked out that I talked about this on my own channel. I had a nephew started freaking humping the couch in front of me and my grandmother, 1-year-old little kid. And it's just like, and again, there's parent blogs about it. There are scientific studies that children start doing this at the age of 1 or 2. So I honestly don't know when it's okay for them to declare their sexuality, even if it's okay for them to confirm it before puberty. As there are times where children's behaviors can be misinterpreted as having a sexual orientation opposite of what they actually have, and they're just really lovey or they're just really touchy. So,
Mhm.
like, I have a few articles pulled up. So, again, I don't know. I'm also not a parent. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that, Mocha?
Okay. First off, when it comes to their sexuality, like I said, I knew very young. I cannot remember a time that I wasn't attracted to both males and females. I didn't fully understand it, and I also hit puberty very young.
Ouch.
I hit puberty at 9,
Oof.
and it was, and I still didn't know. I think it should be just say, okay, you like this? Good. I think it should be that. Oh, also praise Doug. But sorry, it was in the chat. Praise Doug.
Yeah, it's in the chat.
Um,
I don't even know what that means, but
it doesn't matter.
It's
Just praise
it's an
Doug.
Optimus Christ thing. Just moving on.
It's just praise. Yes, just praise Doug. But anyways, as I was saying, I do believe you should just, if your kid comes up to you and go, Mom, they literally could do it 5 times in a row. Let's just say one day they come up to you, Mom, I'm gay. This is how you should respond. That's great. Go on with your day. Because I swear to God, they're going to come up to you and go, Mom, I think I'm straight. And
That's
then
nice,
you're going to go,
honey.
oh, that's great, honey.
well,
And then they're going to come up to you, Mom, I think I may be a girl. Oh, that's great. Just accept for what they say. And if they continue going with that pattern, that's perfectly fine. If they start reaching, like, let's say they still saying, let's say your 5-year-old comes up to you, Mommy, I think I like boys. That's great, honey. You leave it. If they still come up to you, like when it's time for the talk, which I do believe should happen between 13 and 14, and progressively more throughout the time. You don't want it too young,
right.
but that's normally the puberty age, and that's when, like, a lot of kids in my Catholic school, mind you, got pregnant was at 13 and 14. Actually, there was one 12-year-old who actually got pregnant too, so
Oof.
maybe a little younger sometimes. But anyway, it's all that, being told to do it. I could go into like a huge thing with Christianity.
So what I'm getting is
But
you
anyway.
both agree for something definite it would have to be after puberty.
Well, not just after puberty. I think either way, it just has to just be accepting, be a person, treat them like an individual. Don't treat them like what you want them to be. Don't like say, oh, my son likes to play with dolls. Put him in sports, kind of shit. Unless he wants to do sports, that's cool. Let him play with dolls. But I think it's healthy for a child to actually be able to, if they want to say what they are, let them be what they say they are. And that doesn't mean you have to be gung-ho for it and, be like, oh, you want to wear pretty dresses? Like, let's say you take your kid to the store and he sees a dress you like. What would you do? Let's say he's like 5. And he wants to be princess for, Halloween. How would you take that chance?
It would depend. Let me touch upon the other point before answering that question, because I wanted to touch upon, because I actually agree with Jolly Roger Bilgewater, where he says, I disagree with that. Kids accept whatever you allow them to because they're impressionable. That's part of their development. So when I have a child that, if they came up to me and said, oh, well, I'm gay or straight, first off, my question would be, where the hell did you hear those terms? Who is talking to you about what? Is this words you caught on a television, internet, like, or did you hear adults talking? Why do you think suddenly you're a girl? So I wouldn't just let it slide and just say, okay, honey. I would actually be digging around as to why my child is suddenly starting to say these things when I myself have not brought up these things with said child.
I will tell you right now, it's completely school, because I in
know.
Catholic school, by other children, not teachers, we were told that if you like the same same sex, you are a blasphemer, you are burned, you are going to feel the icy pokers that enter your flesh and slowly slay you. All right? That's the kind of shit I got. where I learned about any type of sexuality was my friend, and this was like kids,
Yeah.
because they heard from because kids normally have an older sibling. An older sibling hasn't learned to shut their fucking gab.
Right.
And that's where a good portion of that will actually come from is other siblings. It's going to be from other siblings, or it's going to be from observing and watching your parents. By, let's like going back to the kid with the makeup tutorial. His mom. He saw his mom doing makeup, wanted to do it too. Apparently, that's what he said.
Well, here's the thing, because again, I just if you pay attention to what's actually going on in our school systems, I have actually been reading about it a little bit as far back as 2016. Let's see. Dot Griffin asked, "Do you think children are turning to transgenderism because the hype surrounding it? Males make them feel special, unique." Jolly Roger points up, "All of my disagreement. There are way too many outside forces pushing kids towards agendas." Yes, and I will have to say, yes, Ichabod.
I got one job and you just took it.
I'm sorry. They do touch upon what I'm talking about, because those kids nowadays, if they come up saying that to their parents, if they came out saying it to me, that's not from other children. That's from their teachers. Are you aware that in Washington State there's now the gender unicorn? They're now teaching gender politics, identities, as though it's kindergarten, and in some schools they even teaching what chest binding is, or the surgery that removes the penis and testicles. This is not being pushed on kids.
That was in my health class when I was a kid. So
I
was in Catholic school.
But no, you're not hearing me. There's a difference between teaching biology versus transitioning operations and telling children that doctors pick your birth or pick your sex when they're born. This is what's being taught at schools.
I don't agree with the terminology as a pig. But
neither do
I would say identify. They identified your sex.
Going off of your genitalia.
If you just change a word, it turns into actually being like something how it actually is, because they do like I said, I have a lot of transgender friends. I live in a very progressive location. I live in Colorado. I'm not afraid to say that. I live in Colorado. I've said it forever. I post pictures of Colorado. But, I could see how some transgender, transition people could actually see, oh my God, will this guy move? Sorry, I'm still in traffic. Could see how they were picked. I could see where that terminology would come in, because even in Colorado, you hear all the time of one of my buddies, she is beautiful, gorgeous woman, big, huge tits, nice, fat ass, full, snippy, cutty down there, and people still call her a faggot and a freak. And this is in Colorado. I've witnessed it when we went to bars. So she didn't have to say shit. She didn't even talk about being transgender. It's you can tell sometimes. I'm sorry. And unfortunately, that day she didn't go get her laser done on her face. She needs to go get her laser. So she doesn't have hair here on her face. And people were calling her a freak, calling her a weirdo, doing all this bullshit to her. So I could see why somebody would say, use the terminology of pig. But I would say they identified. I think that's a better term. I think that would actually, fly a lot better, especially with a lot of the Christian and, all that community.
So I'm going to rephrase this into a question, because it does seem kind of like the questions in the chat aren't necessarily being formed as a question. If it's obvious that there is an outside influence with these things, what is the general base reaction you would have to that?
Me personally, I'd go after the persons. You better quit messing with my kid's head. Let them discover shit on their own. That's a discussion for me and him, not you, not your business. Do it again, I'm kicking your ass. I'm sorry, if I had a kid and I caught someone screwing with their head like that, oh no, you're toast. not your business to be teaching the kid that or even exposing them to that because, yeah, there is an agenda there.
Mocha, what are your thoughts on that concept?
I would, let's say, one of my sons ran inside and said, Mom, today we learned about transgender people. And I'd be like, oh, okay. What'd you learn? Show me what you learned today. And then make it into a very, I don't see any issues with it as long as you actually have a sit down and actually talk to your child, communicate, because communication is key with children.
Yeah.
Right.
You can let's say that they said it's okay for a boy and a boy to get married. I'm like, yes, and would you like to hear why? Or if I was in the opposite, I don't agree, and here's why. Talk to them like they're a person. Don't talk to them like they're I wouldn't take evasive action and go start shooting. Like, no, I wouldn't say shooting because there's actually a lot of shootings around here. It's not good. I wouldn't start hammering the school. Like, how dare you teach my little kid about transgenders? How dare you teach them about other sexualities other than being straight? How could you? I couldn't do that shit. I would just sit them down and say, hey, this is what it is.
Okay, so let's.
And if you want to be, and that's fine. But the thing is, you don't have to be. You can just be yourself. You don't have to identify yourself as anything, to be honest.
See,
that's how it is.
That's too passive for me.
Like, let's take this to an extreme. What if you ask them where they heard it, and they say instead of "we learned it at school," it's I don't know, some guy at the park.
Some guy at the park?
Yeah, just
Was he talking
just
to
a
my kids,
random
or
dude.
Was he talking to somebody else, or
talking directly to your kid?
That's different.
First off, I wouldn't allow anyone, my kid, to be at a park alone. First off. Second, I would say, hey, he wants to go play on swing. Vámonos to the swing. Because I don't want some random person I don't even want a random Christian talking to my kid. I don't want anybody talking to my kid unless, they come to me first, and that's just a secondary of a greeting. I don't want nobody talking to my kid unless, there's another kid, or let's say, a parent comes up and says, let's say I go over to get, a bottle of water, and oh, where's your mommy, or where's your daddy, or whatever, right? I could see that, but not just some random. I don't want no rando just walking up. I don't want randos either way. I don't want randos in my house. Stay away, Mormons. Pick me up 5 a.m.
No, and I agree. If why are you telling me to get my kid this? I don't know you. Need to get away from my kid. First off, you never talk to me about anything. I don't know you. You better buzz off. And now going back to this.
Well, shit.
Things when they're older, or if they happen to come across them, and it's not the school's job to teach them or try to confuse the shit out of them in regards to gender identity.
I don't agree with it confusing them. If you actually just have an open discourse with your kids, nothing like that would ever confuse them.
But
I wish motherfuckers in my school talked to me about sexuality, because I bet you those little people I still know, people who are still in that town who had a kid at fucking 12, 13, 14 and shit, thought my friend who hung himself because he thought being gay was a sin against God. I think something like that is that maybe to you I'm too passive. I think I'm just more progressive in my thought process.
I'm definitely not, especially not in that realm. Especially with little kids, it's one thing for them to ask questions on their own, and again, they start developing certain habits as little as the age of 2, and they start asking questions around 4 to 5. But no, I am very much conservative, and I'd very much be protected because I want my kid to decide for themselves and explore within healthy boundaries, and not to have someone try to use them or brainwash them from some sort of agenda. Now, for me, if I
either way, they are going to pick themselves, though. in
Oh
the end of the
no.
day. So okay, I want to come up to you. Okay, let's say you are in school, and your teacher comes out and is like, all right, today we're going to be discussing about faggots.
Jesus.
That's actually how my school would always introduce it as well. That's not just me making a pun.
Yes, that's
We're going
like,
to discuss faggots today. Yeah, we're going to discuss heathens, or
oh,
whichever teacher we had. So or if we had a substitute, they actually may be a little more nicer and say people that like the same sex, something like that.
And
But
then little
normally it was
Billy
just
in the
faggots
back.
or fudge packers.
Yeah, but
Get
then you
down with
get
it.
little Billy in the back of class that pipes up with, "Oh, you mean faggots?"
Yes, as well. Because Catholic. And I'm not gonna lie though, the Catholic educational system actually, even though I do disagree with like a lot of their teachings and all that, I do highly recommend because they have amazing schools. Phenomenal. They teach you math like no other motherfucker. You won't learn about evolution. Well, now
well,
you will. But when I was going to school, you wouldn't learn about evolution. But yeah, I
'cause-
may diss the Catholic, schools, but yeah, they were actually pretty awesome when it comes to actually learning and when you didn't get personal opinions. Because I hate to tell you this, no matter what school you take them to, even if you homeschool them, they're still going to get that kind of an influence.
All right, so we're gonna go for
If
probably
you
about.
shelter them, put them in like a cellar, like where I'm going to put Ichabod, a cellar.
Don't put me in a cellar. We're gonna go
I'm
for
going to
about
put them in
another
a cellar.
10 minutes, because then we will have gone for an hour. Just giving you guys a heads up.
oh,
Okay.
damn! You just wanted to contain this to an hour? You're no fun.
I gotta go get groceries myself. Cut me some slack.
Yeah, you gotta get those numbs in. I want some spaghetti tonight. That's
Yeah.
really why I brought spaghetti.
Your mind's
Either
just
that or
on
I'm making
spaghetti.
fettuccine. Either that or I'm making fettuccine
Mmm.
with mushrooms.
Mmm.
Delicious. Oh, I know, right? Pain. I shall cause you, Ichabod. But now,
Please don't. You're fucking kill me.
but if I
No.
may just make a summary real quick of my entire argument. Let
Yeah.
kids be kids. Have discussions with them. Sit them down. Don't think that there's just a mass, hysteria shit going on. There's just because your kid will learn about other things other than, yourself. Let's say you're just a straight person and, someone brings up being gay. It's not a slight against you. It's not a slight against your kids. It's just being more progressive. It's being more accepting of those who may not know how to accept themselves. And let's just say your son has been hiding it from you because they're afraid that you may hate them. They can see that, hey, it's not the end of the world. So keep an open dialogue with your kids. If your little boy wants to dress him as a princess for Halloween, let them fucking dress as a princess for Halloween. It's like no issues. Then they may grow out of it. Hell, you can look back if they do grow out of it and go, hey, do you remember when you dressed as fucking Snow White?
Do you remember when
so
you
the
were Elsa?
Yeah, remember when you were a little Elsa? Let it go, right? Let it go. No. Yeah, so I think it's a learning experience for everyone in the world, and I think everyone should be allowed to express themselves any way that they want. And as long as it's not hurting anybody, and even if you think, oh, that's hurting the kid, you don't know what's actually going on in that mind of that kid. Until you get a psychological evaluation of that child, you can't say that, oh, they're being hurt by this.
Okay, now for my summary. First off, the progressive argument falls flat on me. I don't care for it because nowadays anything is seen as progressive. I am for what is actually healthy and will actually benefit the child in the long run and letting the child decide for themselves within a healthy realm, as well as properly guiding them and teaching them, be careful what info you take in. If you come across something, let me know. But I'm not for people introducing them to subjects that they may not be ready for, nor trying to screw with their heads because there is an agenda. That is not a hysteria. That's not a conspiracy theory. If you again read of what's going on in our education system, especially with their small children, the drag community luring more little boys, the trans kids popping up. There's more of a trend. That is a thing that is reality. Again, the progressive argument falls flat with me. To me, it doesn't mean anything. Now in regards to like with little boys being allowed to wear makeup, again, I would need major context as to why it got started to begin with. If it's just like an innocent thing and possibly a career choice later, okay, fine. As for letting a little boy put on an Elsa costume for Halloween, again, for the most part, it would just, I guess I would see it as dress up. But again, I would be careful because, as someone mentioned in the chat, there's a lot of parents who, as soon as their particularly little boys put on a skirt, they automatically assume that they're transgender and they start this array of bullshit with them. So, in my opinion, a lot of parents have turned stupid that way, and the progressive arguments also thrown in there, which again doesn't mean shit to me. It's just, again, I am wary of all this crap because of what's been going on. So,
I'm on Twitter too. Don't worry. I just think it's a lot of hype and bullshit.
and if you've actually been digging and looking, you'll see just
I have. That's literally what I do on my free time.
She does,
But
and
like I said,
occasionally drags me into it, and I have to listen to it.
yeah. Me and him have had multiple discussions about it. I think kids.
it's what you cut out there.
I think kids should just be kids.
Oh
Uh,
no,
Allow them to be
definitely.
Kids, allow them to experiment, and allow them just to be themselves and
So-
love who they are if they turn out to be a faggot.
Anti-hero in the chat wants to know why being progressive is more important than keeping your kids safe.
So educating your kids is not being safe. Okay.
Well, okay, let me
All right.
wait, no, let me touch upon this, please, before people like go into extremes. Okay, so in my opinion, it is a good idea to expose kids and to talk to kids when they are ready, to learn certain things.
When are they ready?
Huh?
When are they
Honestly,
ready?
it's a case by case. If they happen upon something and they ask you about it, again, as I tell people on my own channel, don't freak out. Sit down, have a conversation. If you need to give a general idea, again, it depends on the maturity level of the child. There is no straight across the board, oh, when they're 9, do this, because not all 9-year-olds may be ready for certain discussions. Again, you would have to base it off of your attitude of the child, how they're developing, what their behaviors are. I mean, again, case by case, not straight across the board. Anybody who says it's straight across the board is a moron. I mean, not all kids have the same maturity level at age 9, or even age 13 for that matter.
Or 17. Or 26. Some of these motherfuckers, I swear. I've been to
Jesus.
bars, alright? There are
Yeah, no
dumb
shit.
motherfuckers out there.
Let's see. Yeah. One more thing by Zach Anthrio. I think there's a big difference between letting kids be kids and allowing someone else to indoctrinate them into something physically, emotionally, and mentally detrimental to them, but that's just me. No, and I completely agree, Zach. There is a big difference, and schools and the government want to step in and try to trample all over how parents raise their kids, which, by the way, what is creeping down here from Canada into the US, if you do not go along with your child deciding that they are transgender, it is considered child abuse, and you can get your child taken away from you. That's actually part of what this custody case that I'm helping to deal with. Again, hashtag Save James. And we've seen many cases like that in Canada. So that is on the rise as well, part of this transgender agenda. Like, I'm not kidding, this is a thing. This is why to be careful of what you expose your children to and don't freak out when they see stuff. Again.
I think if someone does that, just have a healthy discussion. Like, it comes down to you. You're the one who's going to be the deciding factor within it.
Okay, so yeah, like it's looking at the concept that you guys basically do have come to some level of agreement in this discussion, more or less.
I enjoyed it. I got to see her side of the story, that her opinions on certain issues. But I may disagree. But at the same time, final message: talk to your kids. Just because someone pushes some, like literally, when I was in school, the big thing was being gay. Now the big thing is being trans. The one before that was being a jock. The one before that was being, the fucking everyone wants to be effeminate.
Yeah.
It's all and it's gonna disappear in 5 years.
I don't think it's gonna disappear in 5 years.
Or it's gonna it's not gonna disappear. It's gonna be replaced.
Yeah, it's gonna be a new
And
trend.
then it's just gonna go away. Yeah, it's gonna.
God
be
hope it's not other kin.
Oh God! If it's fucking furries.
No, no furry. No, it's not
No.
okay to be a furry.
It's either like legit. I'm calling it now because of
Because
what
right now
I've
they're trying to push it to the pedophiles, and everybody's gonna reject that, and it's gonna go to something else.
Actually, well, because that too is on the rise, and there was a video. Just real quick, there's a video on a user's channel called For No Good Reason, where it's a legit video of people marching that has a sign that says against homophobia, against pedophobia, and against Islamophobia. There's LGBT already embracing that concept, as well as zoophilia and no maps. Of course, there's different factions to the LGBT, but there are groups that are already
go to a
accepting
gay pride parade here with that shit. I was just at the gay pride parade. Someone tried that shit, and they fucking ripped up their sign and threw fucking hot chocolate on them. Don't fucking pull that shit over here.
Well, go ahead.
I'm not 100% sure if I'm comfortable with the concept of promoting for no good reason on my channel, but I understand.
Okay,
it's contextually necessary. I understand.
Yeah, because Paul Joseph Watson had prayed around a photo that a lot of people thought were photoshopped of a snapshot of this particular parade. And at first I was kind of skeptical until I saw the actual video of the march on FNGR's channel. I'm going like, holy shit, that's not Photoshop. That is real. That's scary as shit.
Fair enough. For educational purposes, go to FNGR's channel and check it out. Gah. That hurts to say.
I'm sure you could put the original video, but that's where I first saw the video on his channel. So.
No, I understand. I understand. Just not a fan of the man. Anyway, I would like to thank Chambers and Moka for coming on for Citrus Questions. I don't get to do this show nearly enough. So thank you to both of you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for the invite, Moka. You're actually a sane person for the most part. Like, other people have tried. Well, no, like, when I try to talk to other people about child development and crap like that, they freak and go like, oh, pedos can invade. Shut the fuck up. Go away with your paranoia. Pedos are everywhere. They're gonna invade everywhere. Shit. God, no, sorry.
Fair enough.
I have to, before we end this, I have to agree with Jolly Roger. The next big trend is going to be public executions live on CNN.
It's going to be what?
Public executions. God damn it. All right. If you would like to be on a episode of Citrus Questions and you have somebody you would like to talk to, feel free to hit me up at Citrus Quest on Twitter. Of course, there is always my Chamber of My Heart's channel and Moka's channel, which is The Butcher with all the E's replaced by 3's because she has to be difficult.
Yeah.
I have been Ichabod.
The new series is actually coming out next month. I'm actually currently working on. I have stocked videos already, but I have a whole bunch more that's coming. I'm about to butcher everything you love.
Lol.
Alright, I am Ichabod. This has been Citrus Questions. Always seek to educate yourself further in any aspect you like. I have raccoon shit to do, so I will see you guys next time.